Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to be taking a look at a mod for the Barstow called the Offroad Barstow, which adds a few different vehicles to the game. So we have this one, which is just called New Front and Side Pipes V8, which is pretty normal compared to the other ones. Then we have a couple of Baja ones, a few off-road ones, and then we also have a crawler version. Now, if you notice the map we're at, this is a map for Baja vehicles. So we're going to start off with the high-end Baja one, which is a little bit more powerful and a little bit more beefy of a suspension than you would get in the low-end one. And this isn't the fastest vehicle to drive through here, but it is very durable. You can go over these bumps without a care in the world, and this thing will keep driving pretty much no matter what you do. Like, here's another pretty good jump, and it lands nice and flat, bouncing around a little bit. So I admit, flipping it would definitely cause it to be unable to drive anymore. But as long as you can keep it level, I think it is able to go through every jump there is on this whole map, pretty much. So I'm gonna just drive around for a minute or two more and keep hitting as many jumps as I see. Eventually you might get to an area where there's not that many jumps, and that's probably when I'll stop. And then I'll just go back to where we started and hit some more jumps there. But this looks like a pretty good jump. Got some nice air. Oh, there's some damage. The fuel tank is ruptured, and apparently we are now a fireball of death roaming the desert. Looks so much more dramatic when it's on fire, doesn't it? You know, speaking of looks, yeah, there are some visual changes to this thing as well, and I will get to them, but right now I see a big jump right there. That looks like it's gonna be a huge jump. I gotta get this thing and let it fly. What? The fire's gone. It just put itself out somehow. I didn't even know that you could put a car out with sand in BeamNG.drive, but apparently you can. And apparently I have pretty much run out of jumps, so let's go ahead and go back to where we started. Now back to the topic of visuals. This thing has a few changes from a normal Barstow. The most obvious is the lift on this thing. But this is not just a normal Barstow suspension that's been raised a little bit. In fact, it actually has some modifications to the underside of the vehicle so that this whole thing makes sense. So you see this metal piece right here and that metal piece right here? Those aren't present on a normal Barstow, and those are there just to allow the wheels to sit farther from the body to increase the ground clearance. Over on the front, we have a front skid plate, so if we do bottom out somehow, the engine won't get wrecked by the bottoming out. We also have a roof rack, and then we have different front fenders and a hood, which are pretty similar to the stock ones, so you only notice it when you put them side by side. And on the back, we have some extra wheels that don't actually do anything, but if you crash hard enough, they will fly off, or if you yank at them hard enough, they will fly off eventually, like so. It actually just said a tire got deflated, so those are real functional wheels. Unfortunately, there's no real way to replace a wheel in this game, at least yet. And then also, we have the cooling system back here. So if you look in the front, there is no radiator here. All the cooling is done with the radiator in the rear. So let's go ahead and get that extra tire back. We're going to turn on Nitrous, which won't make us much faster probably because I'm pretty sure we're traction limited. We'll drive around a little bit more with the Nitrous engaged just to see if it makes a significant difference, because more power is always better, right? Well, not always, but most of the time. And we are actually flying in the exact same route as last time, which I don't want to do, but I don't know if there's a better route for really getting that good air. Like, look at that air. That is a nice air, hitting it really awkwardly, and unfortunately rolling it, but fortunately landing upright. Now that crash actually did do a little bit of damage. I think the car might be pulling a slight amount to the side, but not a significant amount where I'm going to slow down or treat it gentle or anything. We're going to still push it just as hard as before. And I'm just making sure we go a different route, which unfortunately doesn't have any jumps at the moment, so we're just going to cruise through the dirt. I mean, you see it does perfectly fine when the terrain's not rough, but the rough terrain is the most fun of the terrains. And look how smooth everything is right here. I think I've made a mistake in which direction to go. Like, we're going to get one big jump, and that's probably going to be it right here. At least I hope that's a big jump. Please be a big jump. Come on. Yes, that's a medium jump. Medium jump, although it has revealed a few extra jumps here. Oh, that's a jump right there. Look at that thing. Here we go. This is going to fly. Yep. And nice landing. I want to go back. I see some more jumps over there. We got to find those jumps, and I don't want to steer too tight because I feel like it might tip over. Like, you see how much it's leaning? Don't want to tip this thing. So here's another good jump. Power of Nitrous. That's probably the biggest jump I've done, and it is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. All right, last jump. That looks like a promising one. Straight ahead. Let's let it fly. Pretty good jump. Pretty good landing. So as you see, though, this car does excellent in a Baja environment. So what if we go back to where we started and we get the budget Baja? Or if you want to go by its proper name, it's the low-end Baja. And this is pretty similar to the vehicle we were just driving. It has a similar suspension setup, a big old gaping hole in the rear just like the last one, but it's missing a lot of the fancy details like a tube frame setup, which the other one did have and I forgot to mention, and then the rear cooling and the extra powerful engine. So it is low end, just like the name implies. So you see, we didn't fly nearly as far right there, but the important thing is it coped with the landing. That's what's important to me, is can we fly a little bit and still land? Although it is a bit harder to fly with this thing because we are going a bit slower, so it's even harder to wreck it in a way. Like right here, there's a good jump and a good landing, and it's gonna continue driving, no problem. Another good jump and another good landing. So let's try to go a different route from the last two times. I know that first part was pretty similar, but that's a really good route. How about we just see, how does it do just driving along the dirt? Can it get up to a good speed, or is it gonna kind of cruise at about 50, it looks like? I feel like I'm keeping it pretty straight and easy, and I'm flooring it, and we're not accelerating that much. So about 50, 60 is as fast as it's gonna go through here. So let's go ahead and try to go up on the bumps and stuff and just see how it does with that. And can we fly a little bit? Tiny bit of air right there. I see a good possible jump coming up though. That one might actually get us a little bit more air. Let's see here. A little bit of air. No, not quite. And I do notice this thing is overheating really fast, actually, because I'm pretty much pedal to the floor this whole time. Now it says coolant is overheating. So if you have the low-end version of the Baja, the first upgrade you're going to want to do is that cooling system, because this thing is going to die very, very soon. And it's not like the suspension has let me down or anything. It's the cooling, because now the engine, yeah, it's dead. Like, I'm flooring it, but the engine's not revving as good, as high. This thing is as good as dead. So let's go ahead and go to a different map. I want to try out the crawling one, so we should go to Crawl Central. And just for reference, using the best stock off-roaders, I struggle to get through this map. So any vehicle that can get through this is a pretty good off-roader. Now visually, this isn't much different than the one we were just driving, but it has extra off-roady bits. So for example, we can go down here and lock both the front and rear differential. And then as we accelerate right here, look at this. We're already in second gear, third gear, fourth gear. This thing has really short gearing, and we're currently in high gear. So if this gearing is too long for you, well, guess what? You can get even shorter gearing if that's your thing. And once we got into the right gear, that thing went right up that hill and no problem at all. And we're just gonna do maybe a minute or two of driving through some off-roading, and we'll see how well it does. Getting really sideways right here, almost crashing on my side. Actually, I did crash a little bit because my door is open, but we continue going. Like, this thing gives me confidence because I am driving without caring. Usually with off-roading, I gotta focus and make sure I get those angles right and all that kind of stuff. Right here, I'm just like, yeah, we'll go straight and see what happens. And the car's like, okay, WhyBeAre, I got the rest from here. I'll level it out, and I'll make sure we don't get stuck and all that important stuff. Going all crooked, all bouncing all over the place, and it's fine. Yes, it has a little bit of damage, but that's purely on me and my reckless driving ways. So right here, we got this part where it's kind of difficult because you can get stuck on your side really easy. Let's see how it does going through here. So this is the section, and it is, wow. Like, I have never been so easily through that section with any vehicle. So this is a very good off-roader. It might be because the center of gravity is a little bit lower because it's based on a car and not a truck like most off-roaders. I'm not really sure, but either way, it did really good there, and I think that's all we're going to do for off-roading. So we'll floor it and let it fly a little bit. And it's going to land completely on the roof, so we'll go ahead and reset this. And actually, we're going to change out the map to something a little different. How about we go to Baja Hills? For this map, we're going to be focusing on the off-road ones, and there are basically three of those. We have the dragster, the rear-wheel drive, and the 4x4 version. We'll start off with the rear-wheel drive, which is like the lowest end version of all these off-roaders, but it is still a very capable off-road vehicle, as I shall now demonstrate by ignoring the road completely and going in a completely different direction up this hill right here. And this is a pretty good map for testing this kind of stuff, I feel like, because it's got a lot of elevation changes, got all these rocks and stuff that could really easily destroy the vehicle. And so far, it is doing very well at going through that terrain. You see, it keeps hitting the rocks, but there's not getting any damage to the vehicle. It's just deflecting off, and it's continuing to drive. So now let's see how fast can we go, because we got like this nice downhill section. We are going way too fast, and it's still upright. Now it's not. Wait, maybe it will be? Let's see, can it get a roll? That is not gonna roll over, so we'll go ahead and reset this, and then let's go the other direction. And we'll stick to the idea of going slow and steady this time, because slow and steady truly shows how well this vehicle is. Going fast like I just did right there is just like, oh, look how lucky I am, bouncing all over the place and not flipping. But this is like, look at this vehicle, look what it can do. Mind you, this is just the rear wheel drive version, and it's doing all this off-roading. If we had the 4-wheel drive version, it'd be even better at off-roading, but I don't even know if that's necessary going through any section of this map because I'm not really struggling. Like maybe going up a really steep hill, we might need the 4-wheel drive, but rear-wheel drive is doing me great. And now that we got through that nice and slow, let's go fast and fly off that hill right there. Or not. We hit a rock right there. I didn't expect that. Quick peek at the damage, and then we'll reset this. And then we can swap it out for the 4x4 version, which is pretty much the same, but it has the 4x4 setup, which, like I said, is completely unnecessary on this map. But hey, we're going through every version. And on this one, we're going to wreck this thing up and see just how durable it can be. And, well, we've already got it upside down, so that's a good start. We already got it rolling even and popping a nice little wheelie right there. That was good. And then we can bounce it off the mountain a little bit. That gets me another flip or two. Just lost a wheel, but those are the wheels in the back. All 4 wheels are still attached. We can keep on driving. We are losing fenders, we're losing bumpers, we're losing hoods, we're losing every piece of the car. But look at this, it still drives. And it still drives good. This is a super durable suspension setup here. Like, I think the tires would pop before there's any real damage to the suspension. It's crazy how strong this thing is. And we keep driving and driving and driving after crash after crash after roll after roll. There's another roll to add to it. Well, it wasn't a full roll, but it was pretty close. Aww. It was doing so good too, and it doesn't look like we can get it upright just by accelerating, so we'll reset this. And now I'll do the opposite. Instead of being very gradual and gentle with the damage, let's go fast and then fling this thing and watch it fly. So we're going 100 miles per hour. We're just gonna go into the dirt, and tires are gone. We popped the tire. We're gonna roll a couple of times, a few times. I don't know exactly how many times we're gonna roll, but we did roll a few times. And now let's see, can it still drive? Well, let's start off by getting into the paved road so we can see if it tracks straight or not. So accelerating right here, there's no way it's gonna track straight because we only got like 3.5 wheels on the ground. But look at this, it's putting down the power pretty well. I don't know how accurate that speedometer is. I know it's not perfectly accurate, but we feel like we're moving at a pretty decent rate. So let's go for another crash right here up the mountain. Oh, that is a huge one. This might actually kill it. And there's fire. And the fire's gone. Apparently, I just accidentally made a fireball, and the fireball's gone, and this thing is upside down, but I want to see if it keep driving. So I'm going to just roll it upright real quickly, which is going to take 2 attempts, apparently. There we go. You can see the fire just for a second, but I don't care too much about that. Let's look at the car, which, again, is somehow accelerating, although it is barely controllable. Like, it's just rolling wherever it wants to go. We completely lost the rear left suspension. It looks like we still got the rear right suspension though, and 3-wheel drive. It's just I don't understand how it's so good. It's still driving. The engine's starting to overheat a little bit though, and there's another flip. That time it has killed it though. What a great drive from that thing though. And now we'll go to the final Offroad Barstow, which is going to be the drag version, which is a pretty unusual one. So it's rear-wheel drive, but it's set up where it's a good bit faster in a straight line than the regular rear-wheel drive, and it has about the same off-road capabilities as the rear-wheel drive we were driving earlier. And you can see we're already up to 110, 120 miles per hour, but I don't want to go off the road yet. I want to stay on the road, and I'm actually really surprised I did right there. So here's something pretty cool about this. If you slow it down to about 7 miles per hour and then floor it like so, it does really good wheelies. Like, it even scrapes the rear bumper, and, well, we also hit a barrier, but we could have kept wheeling for a little bit longer because it can go like 120 miles per hour and keep doing a wheelie, which is awesome. And apparently we're gonna do one right here. You can't stop the wheelie machine. But as I was saying, it has decent off-road capabilities, just like all the other off-roaders, and this is a great place to demonstrate it as we're kind of going all over the place. I'm trying to go slow enough where we don't wreck this thing because I want to do one more wheelie if I can find the road, actually. Like, I'm looking at the map and it looks so far away. And it doesn't look like it actually matches up with the road I see, though, because I see a road directly ahead of me and I don't see it on the mini-map right there. And yeah, it's not there. Interesting. So anyways, we get to the road, we go about 7 miles per hour again, and then we floor it, and good wheelie! Like, that thing wheelies so hard, the whole thing lifts up and you got no wheels on the ground. And the drive shaft just broke, so there's literally nothing I can do with this car, so we're gonna go ahead and just reset it. And there is one more vehicle in this pack. That one is called the new front and side pipes V8, which is a little bit different than the ones we've been driving. Up until now, they've all been these big off-roading behemoths. This one, though, is a little bit more normal. It doesn't have a ton of ground clearance, but it does have the slightly different front fenders and slightly different hood on it. And then it also has the side exit exhaust. So we'll start off by driving around on paved roads, and then we'll also do some off-roading with it as well. Now on paved roads, it is pretty slippery. It's manageable, but I wouldn't be surprised if I do spin out even with just a couple of minutes of driving that we're going to be doing on the paved road right here. And right now, this is already looking kind of ugly because I'm getting all off the road. And you can see though, it starts to slide super easy, so I'm going to actually slow it down a little bit more from now on because I am pushing this thing faster than I really should be. I mean, yeah, you can drive it that fast if you're okay with spinning out in every other corner, which I don't feel like doing. I'd rather do a little bit of clean driving, and then we'll take it off-roading a bit. So far, everything's going pretty well. Now I just got to find a good opportunity to get this thing into the dirt. And I think just jumping in the dirt right here might work, so we'll just do a little bit slower. 30 miles per hour seems pretty reasonable. And then we can see how well does it do through here. I mean, I guess, yeah, it makes it through. It's not easy terrain for the vehicle. It does feel a little bit out of its element, but it's doing it. That's really what's important, is that it has the capabilities to do it, even though it feels like the other ones are so much better at doing that. And also, I think I damaged the suspension a little bit there where the other big old off-roaders wouldn't even care. So yeah, the car is pulling to the right. So we're gonna just find a good place to crash this car, and that'll be it for this video once we do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it a little early. But until next time, this has been WhyBeAre. This is a good crash place, and I'll see ya next time.